Hello viewers, welcome to the Editorial Analysis by Drishti IAS. In this section, we regularly take editorials from various newspapers and news portals for a better understanding of various issues happening in India and around the globe. Dear viewers, in this section, we first try to link the editorial with our UPSC syllabus. Then we go analytical in order to understand some key points and at last some important concepts. Dear viewers, we truly hope that you like this initiative taken by Drishti IAS and your feedbacks are important for us. So kindly feel free to give your important feedbacks in the comment section. So without any further delay, let's commence our session.
Dear viewer, this video is available in Hindi as well. If you wish to watch it, please visit our Hindi YouTube channel, Dristhi IAS. For your convenience, the link for this video in Hindi has been provided in the description below.
Today's editorial is taken from The Hindu, published on 3rd of February 2021. The title of today's editorial is Setback in Myanmar. If we try to summarize today's editorial, we can say that the army's coup in Myanmar seriously undermines the gradual return to democracy. Also, if we try to link our editorial with our UPSC syllabus, we can link it with GS Paper 2, which has sections that include polity, constitution, governance, and international relations. Now, before we move ahead, it is important for us to actually see where exactly Myanmar is located. So we can see here, this is the map of India, and we are talking about this particular region, the northeast region of India. Exclude Bhutan from here. Okay, now we can see that Myanmar shares an important boundary with many states such as Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram, etc. Okay, so that means we can say that our northeast front is associated or is connected directly with Myanmar. Now, some key points from today's editorial. In one swift operation, Myanmar's military establishment has wiped out a decade of country's democratization process by arresting President Win Myint, State Councillor Aung San Suu Kyi, and the rest of the ruling National League for Democracy leadership and declaring military rule under a state of emergency for at least a year. General Min Aung Hlaing has made it clear that it is the military that is in charge, and he is not particularly concerned about the opposition to or condemnation of the move. Now viewers, like we all know that on 1st of February, the army of Myanmar has actually taken control over the political power in Myanmar, and they have declared a state of emergency for the next 1 year. Also, the army has detained some of the important leaders who were in power, such as President Win Myint, the State Councillor Aung San Suu Kyi, and various other leaders of the National League for Democracy, or you can say the ruling party in Myanmar. Now, before we move ahead, it is quite important for us to actually see what exactly has been the timeline of various events in Myanmar in the last 1 decade. So, in 2010, on November 9th, the military-backed USDP, Union Solidarity and Development Party, was elected with a landslide victory. Aung San Suu Kyi's National League for Democracy, they actually boycotted those elections. Same year, on November 13th, Aung San Suu Kyi was freed after 7 years of house arrest. In the year 2011, on January 31st, the elected parliament convened for the first time in half a century, charged with choosing first civilian president since 1962 coup. In 2015, on 8th of November, Aung San Suu Kyi led NLD. It won by landslide majority in Myanmar's first openly contested general election since 1990. Aung San Suu Kyi became the de facto leader. In 2020, on November 8th, NLD captures 396 seats out of the contesting 476 seats in lower and upper houses of parliament in general election. USDP alleges voter fraud and challenges the result. On 26th of January 2021, military revamps up demands for investigation into alleged voter fraud and doesn't rule out coup possibility. On 30th of January 2021, military says it will protect the constitution and act according to the law amid coup fears. On 1st of February, early morning military detains Aung San Suu Kyi, other leaders from ruling NLD party, and on 1st of February at 10:30 a.m., military declares state of emergency for a year and hands over power to Senior General Min Aung Hlaing. Now, we all know that what exactly were the reasons. So, the immediate reasons for the coup that were given was that the November general election had several irregularities and its contestation of the NLD's landslide victory. However, the most important reason is that Ms. Aung San Suu Kyi, she actually clearly mentioned that all the claims that are made by USDP and army are absolutely false and she will not bow down in front of the pressure. Now, this statement, when it came from Aung San Suu Kyi, it actually was a cause of concern for the army, because army, even today, it still nominates at least 25% of the parliamentary seats, and the army has a complete control on portfolios such as defense, border and interior. That is the internal matters or home ministry. So army actually saw this thing as a situation where they were losing out. And in order to remain in power and in order to be relevant, they decided to carry out the military coup. Some people are also saying that General Hlaing, who is due to retire this year, has done this thing voluntarily because he wants to stay in power. That is, he wants to maintain the longevity of his power. And why exactly this time has been chosen? Number one, the Myanmar army has a support from China. Also, the reason why they actually decided to perform the military coup at this point of time, because the Biden administration right now is absolutely new. They haven't established themselves completely. So, the Myanmar army thought it would be the best time to carry out any attack on the democratic leaders before the new US administration, it actually finds its feet. If we speak about the present scenario, the return to army rule was also helped to some extent by Ms. Suu Kyi, who came to office in 2015 but has lost opportunities to put her country more firmly on the road to democracy. She has accepted a dual power system in the state. See, many people are saying that this entire fiasco, it happened, and Ms. Aung San Suu Kyi also has some role here, which she has played. Number one, most importantly, she had many opportunities after the landslide victory in 2015, but yet she decided to accept working with army and went for a dual power system. Like I told you, many important portfolios, defense, border, internal matters, they were completely under the control of army. So she could have definitely done something with reference to that. Now, before we move ahead, we are talking about Ms. Aung San Suu Kyi. So who exactly she is. So she came to power as a state councillor almost after decades. Her ascension to leadership was seen as a critical moment, transition of Myanmar, formerly known as Burma, to democracy from military dictatorship. Suu Kyi, the daughter of country's independence hero, General Aung San, she is the daughter of Aung San, spent more than 15 years under house arrest. Her time in detention made her an international icon, and she was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 1991. Since her release, her reputation has been tarnished by her cooperation with the military and her deadly campaign against the Rohingya, a Muslim ethnic minority group. Now, many people, they have been criticizing Aung San Suu Kyi for her cooperation with the military, and also many people are claiming that she is the one who is responsible for the exodus of the Rohingyas that is taking place in Myanmar, because she hasn't stopped army from doing or whatever the Myanmar army is doing with the Rohingyas there. She hasn't tried to stop it. Dosu is the popular name Aung San Suu Kyi is also referred as in Myanmar, has also failed to bring democracy to her party and had been criticized for her autocratic style. Many people have regularly complained about Aung San Suu Kyi that she has an autocratic style. She works like a dictator. but she failed to bring democracy in her own party. Her refusal to rein in the general when the Tatmadaw is a term used for the Myanmar army, unleashed a pogrom on the Rohingya between 2016-17, had lost the Nobel Peace Laureate much international support. Initially, Aung San Suu Kyi had a tremendous amount of international support for all the work she has done in the past. But when the international community saw that how silent Aung San Suu Kyi was when the Myanmar army was ill-treating with the Rohingyas and were performing a pogrom. Pogrom means a voluntary attack or killing of one particular community by majority. So since then, she has actually lost all the international support she once enjoyed. Regardless of the reasons for the coup, the step is a setback for the international community's effort to engage with Myanmar after a strict sanctions regime. For India, which had cultivated a careful balance between nudging along the democratic process by supporting Suu Kyi and working with the military to ensure its strategic interest to the northeast and deny China a monopoly on the Myanmar's infrastructure and resources, the developments are unwelcome. Now, the most important thing here with reference to India. Now, India has actually maintained a very careful balance. On one side, the Indian government is appreciating the democratic process and supporting Aung San Suu Kyi, who is the leader there. And on the other hand, the India army is also working with the Myanmar army to ensure its strategic interests in the northeast. The primarily reason that is being given for supporting the army is that India does not want China to be or to enjoy the monopolistic power on Myanmar's infrastructure and resources, because the Myanmar army is supported a lot by China. So in order to actually stop that happen or to control the monopoly of China, the Indian government and the Indian army are actually supporting the Myanmar army as well. So such an idea that is being performed by India right now, it cannot be said that it is a welcome idea. India has to make it clear, stand very clear. Now, if we speak about India's response. Now, India's response, like I said, India has said that they are deeply concerned with the return to military rule, which is a repeat of events 30 years ago. India needs to be engaging into a more pragmatic approach and has to push for freedom and democracy in Myanmar. Now, there are various issues which concerns India. Number one, most important reason for the change is that India's security relationship with Myanmar military. I have told you already this thing before. Many Naxalites groups who actually were part of various terrorist organizations in the northeast have actually taken shelter in the past in Myanmar. So in order to eliminate and in order to curb the action of all such groups, it is very important for Indian army to have support from the Myanmar army. These days, it has become extremely close, as it would be difficult to burn bridges which given their assistance in securing the northeast frontiers from insurgent groups. Apart from strategic concerns, India has cultivated several infrastructure and development projects with Myanmar, which it sees as the gateway to the East and ASEAN countries. India has invested a lot in Myanmar, especially with reference to the infrastructure projects. Some of the important projects are the India-Myanmar-Thailand Trilateral Highway, the Kaladan Multimodal Transit Network, and most importantly, a special economic zone at the Sitwe Deep Water Port. So these are the areas where India has invested, and again, it is very important for India to maintain a good balance and to take a proper stand. The government will need to craft its response taking into consideration the new geopolitical realities of the US and China, as well as its own standing as a South Asian power and as a member of the United Nations Security Council. New Delhi's immediate reaction to merely express deep concern and counsel following the rule of law and democratic process is unlikely to suffice as a long-term strategy. I told you this thing, that just deep concerns will not suffice. India has to participate. India has to emerge as a leader here because India itself, being a South Asian power, has the responsibility. And under the present geopolitical scenario, it is important, if India wants to stop the influence of China, it is mandatory that India should step up and emerge as the power it is supposed to be. So viewers, this was with today's editorial analysis. I hope you liked the analysis very much. Thank you.